I belong to you.
I belong to you.
Do just what you want. You're the one I trust. And I always be around when I need some loving, baby. No one else.
Yeah. Let you down. Playing all my melodies.
Take me to your heart.
I belong to you.
Take me to your soul. No one
Sorry about that. I had the thing on mute. This is the first time something like this has ever happened to me, ever going live. Got a guy outside cutting the grass. It's 7 o'clock at night. Very first time it's ever happened to me, ever going live. So it's interesting. You got to be ready for anything and everything. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. If you can, let me know, which is interesting. Yeah, anyway, I was saying we've got a lot of great feedback and compliments on that opening, and so we actually have two more that we're getting created. You know, there's of course this debate around, you know, countdown timers and all this other stuff, things like that. I actually like them, and maybe I'll do a show around countdown timers and how to actually utilize them. You let me know if that's something that you like. Welcome to Podcasters Live, our live podcast on Wednesday nights. We welcome you here, Podcasters Live, where we focus on helping leaders and authors grow their brand and grow their audience through the powerful combination of podcasting and live streaming. We have a really dope show for you tonight. Lots of content to get into, as I always do. I always have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, a lot of things that I want to share and help you with so that you can so I can make your live stream and your podcasting better. All right? So we'll get to everything we need to right after this. All right, cool. Well, let's go through and make sure that we say hello to everybody, people who are out there in the comments, out there in all the different social medias, whether you are looking at us on LinkedIn. Please make sure you put your comments and your questions and your thoughts and concerns in the chat as well. We are also, of course, live streaming over to our Facebook group, Podcasters Live. We are Podcasters Live everywhere on social media. And then last but not least, our YouTube channel has been growing by leaps and bounds, and we thank you so much for everything and all the people that have actually trusted us over there with just the content that we are creating as well too. And then that's next week. Oops, there we go. Oh my gosh, this is live. Here we go. Here we go. I hit too many buttons. I got this Stream Deck right here, and I got too many buttons to push. All right, so I do want to get to a couple of things before we before we get started as well too. Just to let everybody know, of course, next week, I can't believe it's next week. Oh my gosh, like I feel so not prepared, but I'm prepared for a conference next week. It is Marketing for the Culture. I will be speaking about how to beat podcaster syndrome. It's for our upcoming book that we are going to be releasing probably later this summer as well. So I'm actually really excited about this. So if you don't have your tickets, please go ahead and go to Marketing for the Culture. Or if you're looking at this on a replay, there's a QR code that you will see on your screen. Or if you have your phone with you right now, you want to check and hit that QR code, please make sure you go ahead and do that as well. And just to also let you know, though, so we live stream twice a week. We have our live podcast on Wednesdays, and then on Saturdays, of course, we do our live training. So this Saturday, I am pretty excited because we are going to be talking about the 5 mental health benefits of a podcast. Of course, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I have my good friend Walter Gaynor, who will actually be live in the studio. He will be live in the studio for Podcasters Live, so I'm actually really excited to have him in the studio. All right, I'm going to start this a little different tonight, and it's because I actually give this piece of advice to start different. Try different things out. So I am going to start tonight off with my North Star. I'm going to start tonight off with my North Star, which is the North Star. It's a segment of our podcast that we use for Podcasters Live and also Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, where we help you understand, show you in the solution or show you in the tips and tricks and things that we talk about. Because it's one thing for myself to get on here and talk to you and tell you all of this stuff, but it's another thing for you to actually see yourself utilizing these tips, or what do these tips actually mean for me, or when I'm actually utilizing these things, what does it look like? What are the results that I should get? So are you ready? Let's go ahead and do the North Star. Let's do this.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, because we're talking about, if you didn't know, today's subject is we are talking about 21 live streaming tips, and we are going to be rocking this out. So we get right into the North Star. You ready?
Yes,
let's do this. All right. Yes, sir. Jay-Z's ready. All right, let's do this. So live streaming, it's a craft that requires time, learning, personal, and financial investment for its success. It just really does. When I first started live streaming, I was nervous as all get out. I didn't have a good show format or a show flow or anything along those lines. And a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about here tonight, were things I have implemented, and now I feel very secure in my live streaming techniques and my live streaming processes and routines and things like that. But it requires time. It requires practice. Practice. Yes, I said practice. Another piece about North Star, you have to create a live stream that resonates with your audience, engage even when they don't engage back. That is probably the biggest learning that I can probably teach you, that you need to understand, is that even though people are not in the comments, right? So by saying that, if you are listening and and you want to say hi, go ahead and put yourself in the comments. Please go ahead and say hi. I would love to go ahead and put your comments on the screen just to say hi. But even if people don't engage back, you still have to connect. You still have to make sure that you are delivering on everything that you need to talk about, right? They may, and I love this point that I just wrote down here. That sounds kind of crazy, right? Because I said, I love this point. Well, it's a point that I actually wrote down. They may just be writing down what you say. Silence is tough, but it's okay, right? How many times if you were in college or you went to school, you learned something different, you learned something new, you just kind of sat back in the cut for a little bit, just sat back, and you just watched and you just observed. I did that a lot when it came to live streaming. And so if you are trying to understand this process of live streaming, silence sometimes is okay. And I have one point that I'm going to talk about tonight that I'm going to emphasize that a lot of people, they take for granted. And when the silence occurs, they get uptight or they don't know what to do. So that one point I'm going to talk about here shortly tonight. And then lastly, know your content, which is actually the point that I was going to make. Know your content, know your audience, and create content that resonates. Consistent branding, time and date that you are going to go live. And then if I had to talk about gear, because we get a lot of questions associated with gear, audio first, lighting, then the camera. All right. I gave you the North Star. I gave you the the keys to the kingdom first and foremost. And if you have any questions or you have any thoughts tonight, please make sure you go ahead and put them in the comments. I would love to make sure that we connect with everybody. We got some good people in the house. What's going on, Mr. James Hicks? Good to see DJ Strict. DJ Strick's in the place to be. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you here. All right. We are going to rock this out tonight. We're going to start. What I tend to do with these, not last week, but the week before last, I think I did 21 podcasting tips. So, of course, tonight we are doing 21 live streaming tips. So we have a lot to go through. What I typically do is I read all three of them, and then I go back and I actually kind of talk about one or two of them. But if there's one that you see that pops up on the screen that resonates with you, or you want me to go a little further in depth on, please make sure, don't hesitate, and and I will rock it out for you. Choose the right platform, invest in quality equipment, and plan your content. Right? One of the things that you have to understand about this live streaming process is that if I have to do anything, I'm going to start with number 3, which is planning your content and having an idea of what you want to talk about. Having a structure for what it is that you want to present, that you want to connect people with. Here's why. I was very fortunate this Monday to talk to Content Marketing World, and we were talking about podcasting and live streaming. And of course, we differentiated the two between podcasting being the audio form, and then, of course, live streaming is, of course, live with cameras. Audio podcasting, in its nature, is passive, meaning that people listen to it while they're actually doing other things, right? They don't just really sit there in a chair and listen to your podcast. They are actually doing other things. Live streaming, the nature of live streaming is participatory. The idea and the goal is for the audience to participate in the live stream with you. It is not just for you to, present ideas and content, but it's ideally that people are participating in the process, in the learning process. Because the thing with live streaming, people fail to realize is that it's auditory learning, and it's also visual learning. So if it's just me on the screen, and I got the points over here, and I'm just talking about the points, and you don't see them on the screen, that's a very different experience. If I want to sit down and learn with you, so that's why having and planning your content and being able to present things, allows the audience to engage with you and actually to learn with you as well. Choosing the right platform, that kind of, I would say it's self-explanatory, but if you are going to do this, you have to make sure that you learn and know the different platforms. And when I mean by platforms, I don't mean the social media platforms. I actually mean the live streaming platforms, and maybe that's what I should have put up there, was live streaming platforms. There are a slew of them out there, right? There's the one that I use and I love, which is Ecamm. Oh my gosh, Squadcast, StreamYard, Riverside.fm, and so many other ones that are out there right now where you have your pick, right? A lot of them are ubiquitous, but I have to say there are some that are actually a cut above. And you have to figure out which one is going to work best for your situation. When I first started out, I actually started with live stream. I started with StreamYard. And here's the funny thing. Okay. And I forgot to do this. I'm going to do this now. So I started out with StreamYard, but I wanted to show you guys this. This is embarrassing, but it's so funny. I wanted to show you when I first started out live streaming. When I first started out live streaming, and the camera quality isn't great, audio probably is okay. I'm super nervous. Anyway, I'm gonna play this clip and I'm gonna show this to you. And I feel so. All right, this is me actually doing an interview with a guy, and this is a clip of that interview. I'm going to play it, and I'll probably like pause it as well too. Sometimes you just have to be thrust into those positions. And so for me, it's a matter of trying to help them understand that journey, but also understand that, you know, you have a responsibility to yourself to be the best version of yourself, if you will. And that's where we go from there. Oh gosh, I was so nervous. I was so shaky. Look, so here's the funny part. Look at my look. Okay, I'm gonna get to the tips here in a second. And you guys can just poke fun at me and come along for the ride. Look at my mic. Look at my mic position. I don't know who I thought I was. With that mic position. Hold on, let me make sure. Hey, what's going on, Roy? I want to make sure I say hi to everybody. How you doing, man? Good to see you there. Exactly. If you're ignoring your audience, why even bother to go? I'm tell you, why even bother to go live? You don't want to do that, man. You got to connect with your audience. So look at my mic placement. This is my mic right here. I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen or not, but my mic is like right here, and I have it to the side. And I guess I thought I was a radio DJ guy again, and I am so far away. And the other part is that this mic is a condenser mic. It's my very first mic that when I started back podcasting, I said, well, I'm going to use the same mic for live streaming. And it's a condenser mic, and it picks up everything, all the sounds and everything. And so this actual interview was at night. And so at that time, all the kids and everybody was home, and I could hear everything. And this mic just picks up everything. So the funny part is, like, look at my mic placement. I just think it's hilarious when I think about how far I've come. When you have to think about how far you have come from where you were, I think I'm gonna probably do a show where I go back through a lot of my videos and probably just not really roast myself, but look at my background. Okay, I'm messing with myself again. I'm sorry, now I gotta get to these points. But look at the light, like right behind me, next to that big old what is that thing called? A printer. It's a massive printer. And the company I was working for at the time, I was working from home, and my office out of my home. So they sent me all this equipment. And this computer, the printer was massive. It was huge. And so I thought I was doing something with my setup. It's not horrible. It's not bad. There's some Easter eggs in there, but it's just my lighting isn't bad. I think I'm using like a ring light, and then I have another light so you can see the color temperature difference from if you're facing me, the right side of my face compared to the left side, there's a massive color difference, temperature difference in the lighting. So all these things I didn't really know until I actually started learning more and more. Okay. Anyway, what feedback or what thoughts do you have for me when you see this, and then now everything in my entire life, in my entire studio, everything about what I do has massively changed. Anyway, I wanted to make sure I did that. I thought it was kind of fun. All right, choose the right platform, invest in quality equipment, plan your content. So here we go. A couple of other ones here. Have a strong why, collaborate with others, create a unique brand. These tips, right? You may be doing some of these tips already, right? And you may be doing them well. I always feel that there's room for improvement. We get a lot of compliments on how we show up with our live streaming, which is 100%, and I appreciate that so very much. However, I am always looking for new ways to show up on my live streams. And so I work a lot with Anna and Fulgens. So you guys in the live streaming community, you guys, and especially with Ecamm, you guys know Anna and Fulgens. They're always coming up with like really unique, designs, things that like aren't too crazy. And so for me, I'm always trying to find something different, but actually that fits within my brand, that fits within what we do and say. So I think it's always good for you to iterate and to try to find different pieces that from a live streaming piece that fit within your brand as well too. Have a strong why. It doesn't go without saying, because a lot of people don't have a strong why, and so that's why you need a strong why. Because when no one's listening and no one shows up for your live stream, believe me, I've had it happen more often than not. I've gotten to the point now where I really don't care. Oh my gosh, I guess I should have put the do not disturb on. But I've really gotten to the point now where what I say is that when I don't care, meaning is that I'm going to go live regardless of who or who's not in the audience, because somebody's going to listen. Somebody may be listening, and you never know who's listening. And if you don't go live at the time when you said that you're supposed to and talk about the content that you say that you're going to talk about, you may miss the opportunity to really bless somebody's life. And so I have learned, it's like Paul, I have learned in every situation, right, to be content, regardless of who's there or not. So my why is super strong. How do you develop a strong why, right? I think it's part and parcel of who you are and what it is that you want to talk about, right? I say this all the time, and I truly mean it. I never run out of content ideas. Whether it's for Retail Leadership with Steve Worthing, the podcast that we do and the business we run, or it's Podcasters Live. I have content for years. I will never run out of content. Why? Because I am passionate about what I do. And I'm always looking for innovative ideas. I'm always looking for things that are probably off the beaten path that people don't really talk about. So that's why on Saturdays, I love doing my Saturday live trainings. On Wednesdays, we are a little more structured. Even on Saturdays, we're structured. But on Saturdays, I am able to pick a topic that really kind of just came up that week, and we can kind of talk about it, because there's a different sense of relevance and maybe some time sensitivity that we want to maybe talk about it. Like, of course, mental health month. It's May, so we want to talk about it. And my buddy and I, we've been talking about reconnecting again. So I was like, dude, you were the best person to bring on the show. And actually, and just to let you know, Walter, I think I said it before, he's going to be live in the studio with me because he lives here in Atlanta. And so I'm actually pretty excited. He's going to be here with me in the studio. I guess probably about a month and a half ago now, my man Jamie was here live with me in the studio. We got to get my man Chris Stone over here too. I know Chris is here in Atlanta. So Chris, if you're looking at this now on a replay, man, we got to get you over to the studio and connect as well. All right. Have a strong why, collaborate with others, create a unique brand. All right, let's make sure we got some comments going on real quick. That's great advice. Yeah, know your why. I'm telling you, and everybody says it flippantly, right? You got to have a strong why. And it's right? And I get it, but it is so true. Here's why people don't have a strong why. It's because they want to chase trends, and they want to chase trends. They want to chase hot takes. They want to chase what's trendy. And if you have a strong mind, that means that you can't talk about everything, right? If you have a strong mind, you can't talk about everything. You talk about what you know, right? You let them talk about that stuff, right? And I see that more often than not in the podcasting and live streaming community. We have people that I'm just gonna say it. I'm probably gonna lose some people, but people have never podcasted a day in their life, and they want to talk about audio podcasting, right? We see it all the time, and that piece or that whatever it is that you're talking about, or that thing that's truly hot, you don't have the roots. You're not grounded enough in it to talk about it, right? I love my Knicks. I love my Yankees. Love both of them. But do I have enough bandwidth in my mind to actually talk about the Knicks ad nauseum? No. The Yankees? No. Manchester City? Probably so. I could probably do a show about Manchester City because I love that team to death, right? So make sure your why lines up with your passion. Your passion. I borrowed this from Gary Vee. I was listening to his podcast, and he was speaking at a school, and they were asking him about, well, what if you don't find your passion? And Gary Vee said that's, he has fruity language. He said, no, that's BS. He said what the issue is that the majority of people have a passion and they know what they're passionate about. The issue is that they don't think that they can make money off their passion. So they go for the trend. They try to figure out how to make money in certain areas that they're not truly passionate about, right? You don't have to worry about me finding my passion or talking about my passion. Leadership, podcasting, and live streaming, in that order. All right, cool beans. Thanks, Strick, for the comment. If there are any other comments or thoughts or concerns or anything that you are thinking about with your podcast, please go and make sure you go ahead and put them in the comments. We would love to talk about them and hopefully give you some really good advice to set you on a path of success. All right, 789. Keep your title and description simple. Monitor and adjust your stream settings. Study other live streamers. The first one is really simple. Stop being clever, right? Don't be clever with your titles, right? As my guys over in the UK say, do what it says on the tin. Meaning that if it says soup in the can, when I open it up, it should be soup. It shouldn't be, juice. It should do what it says on the tin. If it says milk on the carton, there should be milk in there. There shouldn't be juice or carbonated water. Same thing, and I know those are very simplistic like examples, but it's the same thing when it comes to your topics. 21 live streaming tips. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not like, oh my gosh, that's such a great title. No, dude, we are talking about 21 live streaming tips, right? And when you come to the show, that's exactly what you're going to get, right? Don't be clever with your titles or your descriptions. Study other live streamers. I spoke about this with the when I did the 21 podcasting tips. Typically, when anyone talks to me and they say, Steve, I want to start a podcast, one of the first things I ask them is, what podcast do you listen to? Like give me two. Give me at least two. Give me at least two podcasts that you listen to. And if they don't listen to podcasts, they're not the right client for me. Because I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's the truth. If you are going to get into podcasting, it's important that you listen to podcasts. If you are a doctor, it's important, and you want to be a surgeon, it's important that you learn how to use utensils to cut. Period. Right? And so that's why I say study other live streams. So when I started the idea of turning my audio podcast and started to do a live stream, man, I sat back for at least 8 months in like all these different communities, the Ecamm community. Most of you guys probably remember, and I was just like kind of tiptoeing in there, and then I would kind of go live for a little bit, and I would just try it. But I was sitting back studying Doc Rock, Strick, right, James, like all these guys and gals. I was actually just sitting back studying and watching them, watching how they did a show, watching their workflow. I I got the bad habit of when I first started of having a very long countdown timer, very long countdown timer. No one was going to listen to me. No one knew me enough to have a 7-minute countdown timer, but I saw everybody else doing it. And so when I say study other live streamers, take it with a grain of salt, right? You got to take some of the good and some of the bad and apply it to your live stream and what you do. More importantly, to your audience. You got to make sure that you're giving your audience what they deserve as well. All right. Cool. So 10, 11, and 12, be patient with yourself. Build a community. Consistency is king. Let's get the consistency one out of the let's talk about that one real quick. Consistency is a byproduct of having a strong why. I firmly believe that. Now, I am not talking about those moments where you have like just kind of felt burnt out and you're like, okay, I need a break. I need like to take 2 weeks off, a month off, and then I kind of start back. Or I may need to revamp my show, right? But I have all intents and purposes of actually starting again. That's not inconsistency, right? That is pause if you must, but don't stop, right? But consistency is a byproduct of having a strong why. Because if you have a strong why, you will develop consistent content. You will live stream consistently. You will have a consistent looking live stream format, show structure, guests that actually align with whatever it is that you're going to talk about. So I think making sure that if you understand that it's a byproduct of a strong why, period. Right? Oh, my man, James. Yeah. I put that. I may put that. No. I've already trademarked that one. I didn't trademark it out, but yeah, I like that one though too. Right? Came up with that a couple of weeks ago because there were so many people talking about consistency. And I'm like, dude, like, listen, if you don't have a strong why and you don't have a strong work ethic, right? Kobe Bryant, like Jordan, all these dudes, they didn't become great because they were consistent, right? They gained the consistency because they worked hard and they had a strong why, right? Anyway, there we go. All right. Build a community. Let me do be patient with yourself first. Be patient. Yeah, being patient with yourself is hard, especially depending on your personality type, right? And being patient with yourself also will help you over the long haul, because live streaming, building a community around it, and being able to produce consistent content takes time. It just really does. And so you have to be patient with yourself in order to do that. Taking time to self-care, taking time to joke around, like laugh at yourself, right? And with the video that I just put on there about myself from years ago. And I go back and I look at some of those videos and I cringe initially, but then I'm like, okay, look at, at least I was doing it, right? At least I started. So given myself some grace and being patient with myself. Building a community is if you don't build a community, is literally, I feel like it's the kiss of death for your podcast or for your live stream, right? A community can be things that are associated with trying to create an ecosystem around your content. Notice I said not just around your live stream, but I said around your content, because your content is what is kind of what goes before you. So in retail, whenever whenever somebody was up for a promotion, like I would often say this, like your name goes before you. So if James was about to get promoted, typically the things that James was not the things that James knew, but the things that James were known for went before him. And when they came to my ears about what James was known for, now, okay, all right, cool. Now we can actually probably have a conversation with James because he's known for X, Y, and Z. It's the same thing with your content. Your content goes before you. And so creating an ecosystem around your content, blog posts, proper social media, LinkedIn, all these different, TikTok, Reels, right? Facebook group, Mighty Networks community, all these pieces, right, are part of the ecosystem, but there needs to be a thread, the thread of, I'm going to use the word consistency, but there's going to be need to be a thread of consistency around what you talk about and who you are, right? And it just takes time, right? It just takes time. The issue is that it takes time to build a community. People want community overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. You have to be patient with yourself, build community, which will build consistency as well too. All right, cool. Let me know if this is resonating with you guys out there in the audience. Our time is, I think we make a good time. Oh yeah, we making real good time today. We making real good time. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I'm actually pretty excited. All right, so what number is this? Okay, that's that one. All right, 13, 14, and 15. Take listener feedback and implement when possible. Engage with the audience. Don't be afraid to try new things. I'll start with the last one because I just did this, right? I started something. I started this podcast with the end. I gave you the keys to the kingdom. I gave you the North Star of what everything that you learning here tonight, what it looks like for you when you actually implement any of these tips on a consistent basis, and also making sure that they align with who you are and what you want to put out there. Whether it's social media, coaching, or whatever it may be. All right. So I tried something different. For you, different may be, it could be something just along the lines of actually maybe even having a guest on, right? For a segment. It could be trying a different segment. It could be a top 10 segment or a top 5 segment, for whatever it is that you're talking about. Hey, we're going to be, today we're going to be trying a new segment. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 reasons to do da-da-da-da-da, right? It's okay. Try it. You just may never know. That could be probably the best part of your podcast, or your live stream. Like I said, when we started implementing the North Star into the Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy podcast, our downloads but more importantly, our listening time and consumption went through the roof. Went literally through the roof. We went from having around a 55-60% consumption, meaning that people are listening to about 55-60% of the podcast, right? We went from that to 85-92%, right? In some episodes, it's actually 100%. With a whole bunch of people listening, all the way to the end, because we added that element of the North Star, and people want to know. They want to know, what does this look like for me, Steve? When all these things that you're talking about. So try something different. You never know how it's going to work for you. Engage with the audience. That's what I've been doing, all day. The entire time here, I've been making sure that I engage with each and every one of you as well too. Just like this person, they say hello. I'm not sure who you are. Tell me who you are. I'm trying to look in the comments to see if I can see who you are, but I can't see who you are. Engage with your audience. Even even if no one's out there, you got to still get engaged, right? I'd say this all the time when we start talking about the audio podcast. People can hear a smile, right? When you are talking about something that's really important and really cool, people can, and you're excited about it. Like people can hear you smiling about it. They can hear it. And so I think the biggest thing too, when you are trying to do a live stream, the art of engaging with an audience is being able to be approachable in the context like they feel like they can let their hair down. I know I'm bald, but they feel like they can let their hair down with you. They feel like they can be, I hate to use this word, but not hate to use this word, but this word like vulnerable, right? Here's why I say that is because it takes a lot for someone to be sitting back, sort of in the cut, listening to you, listening to your content, and then having the courage to go on and type something. Okay, I'm gonna ask him this, and they do it, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then they put something up there, and you don't do anything with it. Like, hey Laura, how are you doing? Like I just asked who this was, and she responded. How are you doing, Laura? Good to see you, right? And so it takes some courage for them to do that. So for you to not engage with them, they're like, dude, I just asked this guy a dope question. I just put it in the comments, right? And he didn't even ask. Now I know once your followership, your listenership, your viewership gets large, you got 60, 70 people in there, the comments are going to be flowing by, right? That's why we say in the a lot of times in the live stream community, hey, put a cue in front of it, so that way we can kind of put it off to the side. But you want to make sure that you try to engage as best as you possibly can with your audience, because that builds up loyalty. Take the feedback when possible. If you haven't known by now and listening to me, a lot of the things that I talk about and the passion that I talk about comes from my world of leadership, comes from that world of influence and helping people develop that influence so that they can be the best leaders that they can, so that they can grow their team, so that they can grow their business. And one thing that I say to a lot of people that we meaning me, that I coach, one, the higher you go, the less feedback that you receive. I believe it's the same thing in the content creation world. People will listen to some of the feedback, like, let's just say if it's MKBHD, someone says something to him in the comments about, a certain video or a shirt that he's wearing or something like that, or a segment, he may listen to it, but the dude has like 15 million, I think, like 15 million subscribers. I'm not sure how much he's gonna listen to that. And it's the same thing. The higher you go, the less feedback you receive. So, and the worst thing that you can do is that if somebody gives you feedback about a show or about something that you spoke about that they liked or they may have disliked, that's why I say listen to the feedback and implement, when and if possible. The worst thing that you can do is to get the feedback and it actually is really good feedback and do nothing with it. The best thing that you can do is to try and implement the feedback, and if it doesn't work, still give the person credit. Dude, James, I remember last couple of weeks you spoke, you were talking about this part of my segment that you really liked, but you wish I could tweak it a little bit. Hey, I'm going to tweak it in our next episode. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're engaging the audience, and you're actually listening, and you're applying the feedback. So you have to think about it in that context of making sure that you're engaging, but you're also listening to the feedback, and you're trying your best to actually apply it as well. All right? Okay, man. I talk for so long, and what happens is my Stream Deck goes back to like sleep mode. I need to go in and change the settings. All right, so that's number 5. Oop, that's the wrong one. There we go. All right. Right? Is that the right one? Let me see. I did 50. Okay, there we go. Yep, that's true. So now we're 16, 17, 18. We're almost done. We're almost done, man. I'm rocking and rolling tonight. I'm rocking and rolling. Use the right social media platform. Emphasize audio. Create a niche. A niche. Create niche content. Let's start with the audio. Let's start with audio. I'm an audio first person, right? And when it comes to everything, when it comes to the podcast, and also making sure that the audio sounds great when it comes to live streaming, right? I think I think audio is one of the most how can I say it? I want to say a lot of people don't pay as much attention to the audio as they need to, right? You got the you don't have a reason not to. The number of mics that are out there now that you can buy for under $100 are insane, and the quality that you receive from those mics, man, there is no reason why your audio shouldn't be prioritized, as a live streamer, right? It shouldn't. There's really no excuse. So emphasize the audio quality. Make sure that your audio quality is tight. If you need help, we can help you with that as well. Use the right social media platforms. There are tons of social media platforms out there, and I think it's important for you to know which ones are right for you. I think it's important for you to know where your audience is, and also where you're going to live stream to as well. So we live stream to YouTube, LinkedIn, and also our Facebook group. And we started out a while ago. We used to do to Twitter. I know James goes to Twitter, but we don't go to Twitter. I don't know if our audience could be there, but I haven't done enough research in order to build that area up, or that social media platform up when it comes to Podcasters Live. They could be there. But I focus in on where we kind of get the most connection, where we get the most people listening and connecting with us as well too. So there you go. Create a niche. How important is it for you to create a niche? I think you're able to. You should niche when it's appropriate. I think it's important to try to focus in on a standardized, I have to use that word because everybody thinks of SATs. I think it's important for you to have a what we call content pillars, things that you will stand for and things that you will talk about, right? And the reason I always talk about content pillars is because it will prevent you from talking about all these other topics, and it will help you hone in on the right things that you want to talk about from a content standpoint, but most importantly, for your audience. So making sure that you understand the idea around content pillars and around a niche are super important. I could probably go all day around creating a niche and what that really truly does for you, which it helps you crystallize your ideas. It helps you really win a very specific audience, right? Instead of you talking about all these other leaders, I'm going to use myself for example. When I started back podcasting in 2017, the podcast was called The Worthy Podcast. We were talking about leadership, leadership, coaching, and diversity. All three very broad topics. And I realized was that I was trying to please everybody and talking to everybody about all these different topics. And then I'm not going to bore you with the story, but then we finally niched down to retail leadership with Steve Worthy. Now, we don't focus on the C-suite. We focus on senior vice president on down, from the single unit to the multi-unit leader in retail, period, right? We are one of the only podcasts out there that are focused in on the retail leader. There are a lot of retail podcasts out there that talk about the retail industry and what that looks like and all the different initiatives, but there are not a lot that are talking specifically about the people that need to execute all of those initiatives and changes that HQ wants to actually implement. So we focus in on helping those leaders grow in their communication, in their careers, and also understanding the cultures of their company. Those are our 3 pillars that we focus in on. There you go. So I'm telling you this. I'm telling you, man, I practice what I preach. I try my best to not get up here and talk about stuff that I'm not doing, that I haven't implemented, and more often than not failed at, and tried it again. So that's why we try different things. We may fail, but we want to make sure that we are practicing what we preach on these live streams, because people are dependent upon us telling them the truth. And if you're telling them the truth, it's because you know exactly what you're talking about. All right, cool. Before we get to the last piece, I wanted to make sure that we talk to you about our coaching programs, and also our power hour sessions, our power sessions. They're 90 minutes. We help you focus in on your concept, your gear, or if you need to jumpstart or re-jumpstart your podcast or your live stream. We are here 90 minutes. You can connect with us. We will help you, set you on your way, help you understand where you currently are in your process and some of the things that you need to actually do to improve it. Or if you say, Steve, I got a podcast idea, right, and I need help. We have a process called Concept to Creation. Our goal is to help you leapfrog that dreaded pod fade. There are over 50% of podcasts, they never make it past episode 7. So we focus in on helping you create 12 episodes, which is a full season. So we jumpstart your entire podcasting journey and your live streaming journey with our coaching called Concept to Creation. If you're interested, make sure you check us out. Of course, you see in all of our live streams, you see the QR code. That QR code will take you directly to a page, an interest page. And if you are interested, make sure you connect with us. Or if you know someone who is, make sure you share information with them at podcasterslive.com. All right, cool. Let's do the last ones. Focus on quality over quantity. Don't be attached to the outcome. That's so hard for people. And be mindful of copyright. Okay. I'm going to start with this last one. Be mindful of the copyright, right? I love music. I think I missed my calling as a DJ growing up. So I really, truly love music. And a lot of us want to utilize music and within our podcast, and you can't because of copyright laws. Epidemic Sound is one of the best places that you can actually go and get amazing music. We have a link in the description. You can connect with Epidemic Sound, and you're able to get copyright-free music for your live stream and also for your videos as well. Don't be too attached to the outcome. When you're putting content out there, I just had a conversation with a guy today. He wrote a book. It's called The Innovator's Mindset. And he and I were talking about it as we were both previously in retail, and then we both moved into kind of this entrepreneurial world, and we would second guess ourselves as we were putting content out there. We were like, "Ooh, is that going to resonate with somebody? And what is that going to do?" And we have developed the mindset and the perspective of, you know what, you got to put it out there, and you can't be attached to the outcome, because whoever needs or wants to truly hear your content, they will hear it, and it will resonate with them. But if you don't put it out there, it just never gives it the opportunity. So that's why I say, you number 20, he's like, don't be too attached to the outcome. When you go live and no one's listening initially, it's going to be extremely hard, right? But you just never know who can possibly look at that on a replay and it could touch them, right? You just never know who could actually over time become your biggest fan. So don't get attached so much to the outcome. Got to make sure that you're putting the content out there, so that way people know that you exist and they could potentially start to learn more from you and be one of your Raven fans as well. Hey, Tally, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you tonight. And then I started from the bottom. So focus on quality over quantity. Yeah. So, oh, sorry, that was Siri. Focus on quality over quantity. Okay, so here's the thing. When I first started live streaming, of course, then the pandemic hit, right? So it was like right before the pandemic, about 8 months before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and then live streaming and podcasting just blew up. Like there was like a shortage of gear, of equipment, all these different things, because everybody was trying to start a podcast and everybody was trying to do live streaming. And what we saw a lot of people live streaming, for for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? And then, which was great because at that point in time, a lot of people were home. And so you could passively listen to a live stream. Nowadays, like even though I'm probably hitting close to an hour right now, I try my best not to go over the hour and a half mark. But within this hour, my goal is to give you quality. My goal is to give you content that is going to resonate with you and that you are going to be able to use immediately after this live stream, period. That has always been my mindset. Always been my mindset is to, how do I make sure that I provide content that is going to help you do something, right? Not just for listening's sake, but here's a tip. Now, hopefully the way that I've been able to present it is passionate enough where you're like, dude, okay, all right, Steve, okay, I hear you. I'm gonna focus on quality, not quantity, right? So I try to focus in on quality, so that way I'm not too much concerned about the time, right? And we actually started, but we're gonna relaunch it with Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. It's on Sunday nights. It's called Win Your Week, and it's a short, sort of like podcast that's a segment, if you will, of Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, where we just talk about a retail topic and we break it down for you, and then take out some of the elements and give you the 3 things that you could focus in on for your week based off this retail article. I'm really excited about it. We're going to add a different piece to it coming up in June, but we focus in on trying to make it at half an hour. And when we were testing it, we found that was our sweet spot. 30 minutes to like 35 minutes was like in half an hour was our sweet spot. So I think if you start to think about your content and what you're doing in the same way and testing certain things out, you'll start to realize that, man, I'm talking for 2 hours, and what I said was I actually could have said all of that in like 45 minutes. So, but you don't know that until you start. You don't know that until you actually start to move things forward as well. All right. That is all 21. And then Ty says, true, you have to, let me make sure I can see on the screen. True, you have to put it out there. If you don't, you can never know, you'll never know the outcome. You'll never know the outcome. Right. And that's, all these tips that we spoke about here tonight, they're very simple, and I try my best not to overcomplicate, the process, because there's already some trepidation associated with live streaming, whether it's like having the right camera or trying to have a setup that looks like everybody else, right? There's already a lot of that stuff, and so the tips that we presented today are very simple in nature. They are there to help you get started. They are there to help you ideally grow, but they're also there to help you perfect, right? And I know there's no such thing as perfect, but you are perfecting your craft as a live streamer. You're perfecting your content. You're perfecting your structure. You're perfecting your voice, right? All these tips are there to be used for that purpose and for that intent. I truly hope, truly hope you enjoyed and you got something out of tonight. You got something out of this this process, these tips for your live streaming. Once again, if you want to connect with us, you can connect with us at worthy. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I think about another podcast. At podcasterslive.com. We truly look forward to connecting with you. Once again, this Saturday, we are going to be live in my studio with my man Walter Gaynor, and we are going to be talking about the 5 mental health benefits of a podcast. There are tons more than 5, but for the sake of the live stream and for the sake of how I know Walter and I, how we vibe and how we connect, we're gonna keep it to 5. We probably need to just do 3, to be honest with you, because I think it's gonna be a really dope show. So we do that every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and we look forward to seeing you there. I have been Steve Worthy. This is the way. I don't know if you guys are Mandalorian fans. I am. But I really appreciate you guys for being here. Before I go, I know there's a little delay. I don't know. I want to make sure that there are no last questions or comments or thoughts out there, right? I want to make sure that after the 21 tips, if you have any questions, that was a lot of information. It's a lot of information. And I know that, sometimes it could be overwhelming. You can always go back and look at this on the replay to grab a tip or two, and then you can actually put it in your repertoire as a live streamer as well. And you can do it that way. I'm going to put that right there. All right, everybody. If you're looking at this on a replay, go ahead and make sure you put those in the comments as well. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and God bless.